we are going to take this example. This is the one you're going to open when you open up the assignment, and we're going to go step by step through a bunch of slides, and we're going to turn it into this with fancy fonts and all kinds of changes going on and images and external links and tables of contents and actual tables. We're going to do all this together. Stay with me. It's about 10 steps to get in there, and then you're going to be creative, and then you're going to turn it into me with a share and a PDF, and I'm going to evaluate it according to this rubric. If you look, this rubric is sitting on the assignment, so you know exactly how to meet standard, to do it all to meet the standard. Then if you do it really well, and it shows you what really well, it's relevant, it's creative, then you could actually get a 12 out of 9 on this. So ready to rock and roll. 9's what you're shooting for, 12's even better. Good luck, let's get rolling. By the way, sorry, forgot to mention, make sure that you have it open in 2 places. You have a window open with the video presentation, and then you have a separate window open with your work. So you're looking at this on 2 screens, the video playing in one place and the Google Doc in the other, so you can make all the edits. Good luck. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select a font. Now the font is the type that you're using. What you have here is Calibri. It's the default font. You're used to seeing this all the time, but if you look up in here, you have a lot of choices. It usually gives you 4 or 5 regular choices, and then it gives you a lot of unusual choices down here. And what we're going to do is pick a default font for the document. So I'm going to go and select all by hitting Control A or Command A, depending on your computer. But if you're on a Chromebook, Control A should do it. You'll select everything. And I'm going to pick something else. Railway normal is often a good choice. Let me show you how you pick that. You go over here, and you pick railway normal, and that looks good. I've used railway before. You can pick anything you want in here as long as it enhances it. I like sans serif fonts, things without the little doohickeys, but if you like the little doohickeys, Garabond can be a nice font. The thing you want to avoid is something more offbeat, more handwriting or crayon-y. That gets hard to read. Things like Caveat, Comic Sans. That kind of changes the mood. So you want to pick a professional-looking font, something that looks fairly normal. Impact, that gets a little bit, blurry to read. So make a choice for something that's not what's defaulted, but something that people can read. I am, for this example, just going to choose Railway. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to teach it some headers in here and kind of get my thing organized. So enrollment comp sci high is the whole purpose of this flyer. So I'm going to make this big. I'm going to pick it as heading 1. And that's okay, but I actually want it to be a little bit larger. I want it to be like really big, like 36, right? So I can make the font a lot larger. I went back to Calibri. I actually want it to be back to my railway, so I'm going to make it railway. I may even make it railway extra bold, but I made sure it was there. And I'm going to actually center it. So I'm going to go over here and click center. And now it lives there. It's a little bit more bold, right? But heading 1, I'm going to have to make that change every time. So I'm actually going to go over here to heading. I'm going to say update heading 1 to match. And from now on, whenever I use heading 1, it's going to be like that. So I'll go to apply for fall enrollment now. I'll pick heading 1 and see what it does. I don't want that, but that's how we're going to do that. Then I'm going to go to apply for fall enrollment now. Well, that's not as important as this, but it's like a whole section here, right? So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to click on heading 2. I actually like that. I think that works. Then down in here, I've got this quote. I like that. I think that's what we want it to look a little different. Well, subtitle gives me a cool little color, gives me italics. It looks pretty good. Changes font. I'm okay with that. Only it's a little bit large. So I'm going to make it 18 points. And then I'm going to update subtitle to match. Now that's going to be, I'm kind of both choosing it and teaching the document what I want. So I'm saying every time I choose a subtitle, that's going to be what I'm going to use for quotes. Computer science job growth. Well, that's just like this apply for fall enrollment now. So I'm going to go to heading 2. Building partnerships. I think we need to put in a line break there. But then I'm going to go to building partnerships and I'm going to go to heading 2. And then comprehensive education. Again, I'm going to build that line break in there. Sorry. And I'm going to make that heading 2. Our facility. It's kind of cool, right? Talks about our neat building. And so we are going to go to heading 2. Our education pillars, that's another thing we want to call. Heading 2, career outlook. Ooh, this is a whole new thing, right? Career outlook, heading 2. All right, and then a school of excellence. We're just going to go ahead and add a line to that and call that heading 2. Um, and so that's kind of, oh, contact us. That's probably also going to need a little help. So I'm going to contact us, and that's heading 2. So what I've done is I've kind of changed my headings, and so now it's a little bit more organized. Next, we're going to add some bold and italics and underline. That's pretty important. I'm going to scroll down to this computer science jobs growth, and we're going to add a couple of things to that. And I want you to add italics at least somewhere else in your document. The one I'm going to pick right here is projected change in employment. And what I'm going to do is drag my mouse, click and drag my mouse across that line and go up here to italics. And that italicizes something. It allows for some emphasis. And then for each one of these, I want to emphasize these numbers. These numbers kind of get lost in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick each one of these and I'm going to click on bold. And you see it makes it pop just a little bit more just to boldface it. I want to show people that by doing what we do here at CompSci High, there's enormous job growth and enormous job opportunities. So I'm kind of expressing that by making it bold-faced here. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's another place you can add an underline. You could easily do that. Actually, I'm going to show you something later. I'll do a link with that. What I'm going to do is go down to here to where it talks about correct being a correct center of excellence. CompSci has a correct center of excellence. I'm going to underline that. So I'm going to pick this right in here, and I'm going to underline it. What I want you to try is to find at least someplace else to put in at least an underline and at least a bold and at least an italic. So an underline, a bold, and an italic somewhere else in your flyer. Good luck. So this time we're going to change some font colors. That's kind of a fun thing you can do. You don't want to do it a ton, but it can emphasize something. Like I really like this phrase right here. And the gray, which is actually selected by the default, is okay, but I really want to make it pop a little more. So I'm going to turn it blue. And so I'm going to highlight it. If you see, I went real quick there. You highlight it, and then you go up here to this A, where it says text color. And I don't want to pick this blue because this blue right here looks like a link, doesn't it? So we're not going to pick that blue because we're not actually turning it into a link. But I'm going to pick this nice dark blue. It's blue, it pops a little bit more, but it just isn't going to make people think it's a clickable link. So that's how you change colors. Okay, so let's have a conversation about bringing in some pictures here because we don't have any images. And so this flyer is kind of boring. It's all text, and people do want to see pictures. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pull in 2 images. One I'm going to pull in from a website. The website I'm going to use is going to be our website. I'm going to use the school's website, and I'm actually going to go to this so when you're home, you have to go over to here where it says our facility. And I'm going to pick this picture of our facility. If it's on our school website, you can totally use it for this assignment. That's totally legitimate. The other thing you can do is you can use Google Image Search. We'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to use this from the website. And the way we're going to use this is I'm going to control click or right click on it. I'm going to open the image in a new tab. Once I open it in a new tab, it will give it to me. I'll click right click for save image as. So I right click, it has that pop-up menu, click save image as, and I'm going to call it CompSci High. I realized that I had to rename it. I'm going to save it to my hard drive. You see, I practiced this once. I've already saved it. But I do want you to save it with a name and a place that you can remember. You're going to need that in just a minute. So save it to a place you can remember. I'm replacing it, so it's making me do that. And then I go back to my document, and I want to insert it on this line right here. So I'm going to put my cursor there, and I'm going to insert, image, upload from computer. Once I do, I pull up that image. That's the image I just picked. Boom, it drops it in. It's okay. It's a little bit big. I'm going to shrink it, so I'm going to click on it and get these little handles. These little handles allow you to move things. I'm going to give you a little hint. Use the corners. If you use the corners, it moves things proportionately. If you use the sides, it does this weird squeezy thing. It doesn't move things proportionately. So use the corners. I'm going to make this small because it's about the size I want it. But you notice it's saying over on the left, and I really want it over on the right. So I'm going to go over here to wrap, right here where it says wrap text. And you see it kind of gives you an image. It says, ooh, I'm going to throw the text around that block. So once I click it, boom, everything goes over there, except I wanted it on the other side. So I'm simply going to click it and drag it over to the other side. and let it go. And it actually puts itself in there. It's the first image in the document, so I'm actually going to let it be a little bit bigger. Maybe. Let me see how that looks. Yeah, I kind of like that. I like that whole piece. So that's kind of how I want to do that. I'm going to put an extra space in here so that this guy comes in underneath the image. And that's kind of a much more attractive looking flyer than we had just a couple minutes ago. Now, what if I want to include maybe another picture of students coding, so I can hit people with a couple of pictures right out of the gate. So I'm going to go put my cursor right in here. Again, I'm going to bring in another picture. I'm going to go to Insert, Image, and I'm going to click Search from the web. Search the web. I already have the coding in there called Student Coding, and you see I typed in Student Coding, and it gave me this. These are the choices it gave me. And I could pick a lot of different pictures in here. I'm just going to pick, these hands right here. So we're going to be a little more gender neutral. And I'm going to just click it and insert. And it drops in. You see how gigantic that gets? Not so crazy. But I click on it, click wrap, then I shrink it down, and dropped it all the way down there. That's okay. I can drag it way up to the top again, and I can drop it right back in here. And it allows you to move things around just a little bit, so you can kind of click and drag and move things around. I'm going to put an extra space underneath this so that my horizontal bar works out. But you can see that this is a lot more interesting a flyer than it was just a minute ago because we put in pictures. Next thing we need to add is a bunch of links because we are asking them to go to our website and to enroll. And I've got the links at the end here, but they're not doing anything. So there is a way to add a link. And the way you add a link is pretty simple. The first thing you need to do is you need to go find the website in question. So right here, this is going to be it's going to be chooseyourschool.org. So I'm going to get rid of these two. We're going to go to a new one called chooseyourschool.org. I'm going to call that up, and it's going to come up. And this is where we want to send them. And that's one of the jobs that we have with this particular document. So I'm going to actually highlight this address, double click it, and I'm going to hit Control C, or if you're on a Mac, Command C. And I'm going to highlight this, and I am going to click this little insert link, and actually put it in automatically for me, which is very nice. So again, you go right in here, and you pick the link. It may actually pull up a dialog box, and if it pulls up a dialog box and says, what link am I putting in? You just paste in the link that you copied right here. Right now, it automated it a little bit for you, but now you have working links on each one of these. Now, the next thing we're going to add is a table of contents. Just because it's a skill I want you to have, I wouldn't normally do this with a flyer, but it's worth doing for right here. I'm going to add it in right in this spot. And as you can see, I really want it to go here, but my cursor's going here. That's because this guy's kind of getting in my way, but I like that, so I'm just going to add a line. I'm just going to hit return on my keyboard. It's going to add a line. And watch, this is kind of a magic trick that it does. I'm going to go to Insert, and then I'm going to actually go down to Table of Contents, and I'm going to pick my different kinds. I'm going to do plain text, dotted, and I could even do hyperlinks. I'm going to pick the hyperlinks because it's just snazzy. I'm going to drop it in, and there you go. You can actually, these will automatically put it. Now, how did it figure this out? If you remember, these are all your heading 2s. Remember when I went in here and I called this a heading 2 and I called this a heading 2? Remember all that mess? That's what I did with all of that. I can actually put something like a heading 2 over this called Table of Contents. And I can even highlight it by highlighting it and then going right over here and clicking oops, that's not what I wanted to do, my bad. I went over here, highlight color, and I can highlight my table of contents right in here. But you know what else I don't like? I don't like how much this goes over the 2 pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this boy up right in here, which should bring up my line quite a bit. And then I'm going to allow this to bounce back up. And I'm going to bring this up just a little bit more. And I'm going to bring that kind of balances it out, but this looks terrible. So I'm going to go in here and shrink this down just a little bit. And that allows me to put that quote in and to keep my table of contents all on the first page. So I'll bring that up one little page, and now we have ourselves a clean first page with 2 pictures and a table of contents for our event. Next, we're going to put in a table, and tables are a great way to help your readers visually organize a bunch of data in front of them. This is a common technique that's used on the websites, and I don't think it's terrible, but I want to just put it in a table just so it's a little easier for people to figure it out. So I'm going to put my cursor underneath this, and I'm going to go to Insert Table. The table I need, you can pick, you see, any kind of size of table here, right? Well, I'm going to escape out of this. I really need 4 rows because I have 4 pieces of information. I'm going to want to tell people address, phone number. So I use 2 columns. So I'm going to go with Insert Table. I'm going to go 2 columns across and 4 rows deep, and it will give it to me. Now I'll show you, later on you'll figure out that you can actually add and subtract rows, but let's not get too complicated today. I'm just going to highlight my address, and I'm going to drop it in here. I'm going to highlight my phone number, and I'm going to drop it in here. I'm going to highlight CSH office, and I made a mistake. I'm going to drop it in here. I'm going to highlight chooseyourschool.org. I'm going to drop it in here. And then over here, I'm going to put in address, tab to get through it, phone, and then I'm going to go to email, and then website. Now, we don't need all this balanced out this way. I think we could probably do this and make that a little bit more commonsensical. The other thing that's a little weird, it's kind of driving me a little crazy, right, is, oops, hang on. I want to get rid of this mess right here because I don't need this information anymore, right? I don't need this extra space in here, so I can get rid of that. And then the other thing that makes me a little bit crazy visually is that these guys are all lined up at the top of the cell. These guys are at the middle of the cell. I actually like the middle versus the top. So I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to right click, and I get this thing called Table Properties. So again, I highlighted everything, right click, Table Properties. Now look what happens. We go over to Table Properties, and we're going to go into Cell. And under Cell, you have this vertical alignment, and you go to Middle, right there. And that moves it right to the middle, and that allows you to change the way that lays out. The other thing is I'm going to kind of bring this in a little bit to kind of match my margin. I think that's pretty cool. I'm good enough with that. That's pretty easy for people to organize. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. What you to do is to be sure to share it to me so that I have access to it when you click Submit. So you're going to share, and you're going to want to make sure I get this link right in here. Remember the link you got to copy. And you also have to make sure that my name goes in there. That's my email right there, jtush@correct.org. Please make sure you've linked it to me, you've shared it to me. And then one last piece, you're going to go up here, File, and download it. You're going to make sure you download it as a PDF. So File, download, download PDF. Do those 3 things just to make sure you know how to share it. And that'll be the last of the steps. And then I'll wrap it up in the next slide. The issue is that you're going to then take all of these skills and you're going to put them to work right in here. You're going to add more pictures. You're going to take care of the page breaks. You're going to clean this up. You're going to add some other links that are going on in here. You'll notice that I added a link for the Bureau of Labor Statistics in here. I've added some charts in there. I've added some additional pieces just to show that I've learned these skills and that I've shown some creativity with it. I don't need to tell you what to do in the next step. I want you to be creative. You can change the font. You can do the things that you need to do, change colors, whatever it is you need to do to make your document a lot more exciting. I am going to be using this rubric right here. This is in the assignment, so take a look in the assignment. I'm looking for effective application of all the techniques. Everything's creative, it's relevant, it makes sense, okay? And it's properly shared. If you do all of that correctly and I get the PDF, you could, even though you only have to get 9 out of this to get met, you actually could get 12 on this assignment. So I'm offering you an opportunity to do exceeds standard, which would really help your grade. Hope that helps. Good luck with the assignment.